Hi guys, it's Katie and welcome back to the 7th college classes I took at Cornell. Can you believe it? We're talking about my senior year fall. There are just so many cool and unique courses that I've taken at Cornell. If you've been with me for a while, you will know this is actually part of a longer series that I've done for every semester already of my time at Cornell. How this is going to work is I will start with a official course summary and then I'll give my version of what I actually learned in that class, and then we'll talk about the workload, whether I recommend it. Last thing you may be wondering before we start, I majored in information science and minored in creative writing in the College of Arts and Sciences, or arguably I was part of the second cohort of the College of Computing and Information Science. Let's dive into this. First class I am so excited to talk about because it is the iconic Introduction to Wines class at Cornell. Students will be introduced to the major wine producing regions of the world. The course focuses on understanding the terms of a wine label, discussing aromas and flavors, and connecting flavors to the growing and production factors that influence them. This forms the basis for what a consumer needs to know to confidently navigate a wine list and to make sound purchase decisions in retail wine shops or online. I think when I first read that, I was like, in what circumstance will I need to be able to navigate a wine list? It sounds a little pretentious. I think a lot more business students will understand the practicality of it, and a lot of pre-professional majors will know that networking is a very big part of getting a job. But personally, on a day-to-day, I literally do not need to be impressing people with my wine knowledge. I literally just took this because it's a senior tradition. You all are probably wondering now, how does this class actually work? This class met once a week for 2 hours, and in those 2 hours, we would try about 6 to 7 wines from around the world. So every week was actually looking at a different region. So we did California, New York, Oregon, Washington one, France, Spain, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina, Chile, Portugal, Italy. The workload for this course, medium. This is apparently a class that a lot of seniors will fail because they underestimate it and they think it will be so easy, but actually it was a lot of memorization. Things that we would actually have to learn, for example, are how are different wine labels classified in different regions around the world. So I just listed like maybe 10 different countries or states, and so we had to look at the different wine regulations for each of those, and then we would also have to memorize the characteristics of certain grape varietals. So like, what is the flavor profile of a Sauvignon Blanc, or a Cabernet Sauvignon, or Merlot. I didn't know that you could know so much about wine. I think that's the other interesting thing to mention is at Cornell, viticulture, the study of growing grapes, is actually a major. In terms of tests, this class is just 2 prelims and 1 reflection. Overall, I would 10 out of 10 recommend this course. Next course I took is Advanced Narrative Writing. I have really mixed feelings about this class. I saw some really weird things like films where a catfish would be making love to a princess, if you know what I'm saying. The course is intended for narrative writing students who have completed the prerequisites and wish to refine their writing. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna skip the description because it basically is so vague. Every class was just a workshop. Students were expected to bring in work and you just send it to everyone in the class like 2 days before, and then you come to class and everyone would have read your piece and then you just discuss it. Like, people will ask questions, you can bring in your questions, get feedback, and then you take all that information and then you write on your own, and then next class or whenever you want, you sign up again. The goal was to write 60 to 100 pages, but really, how much did I write? Like 20. The class met once a week. We met for 2 hours. The workload was really light for me because I didn't write that much, but it could be heavier depending on how much you put into it. Overall, I think this is a great class if you want accountability, and I think the professor was super cool and gave a lot of motivational and real speeches. Like,
everyone wants to be a writer because they like the romance of it, but nobody actually wants to put in the hard work.
Which is kind of true. Next class, Rapid Prototyping and Physical Computing. This was the bane of my existence this semester. This class provides an introduction to modern rapid prototyping techniques such as laser cutting, 3D printing, and microcontroller programming, such as the Arduino system. That probably makes no sense to most of you who don't do anything with hardware, aka me when I first took this course. It's about how to prototype something physical like a toy, device, or robot, and to do it very quickly. For example, some of the projects I did was an automatic fan using just Lego and some other physical parts. I also made a Jack-in-the-Box toy by laser cutting it, and then I also made a flower pot by 3D printing it. Then for the physical computing aspect, we made a beer pong robot. It could shoot a ping pong ball into different cups based on how you interacted with it using the controller that we built. This course met twice a week, but do not be fooled. It was like a 3-hour lab class and the workload was so heavy that I really wanted to cry. Actually, I did cry. I was just so stressed because there was this awful week where we had three things for one class due, and they were sizable things. Like we had an assignment due on Friday, and we had an individual project due on Monday, and then our group project, which was this huge like beer pong robot, was due Wednesday because we had showcase on Thursday. So it was just insane. I was really stressed. How this class was tested was number 1, the group project, 2, some individual projects, there were 3 of them. Lastly, weekly assignments. Overall, this is a tough class. Before I took this class, a lot of my friends were like,
"Don't take it, I'm warning you now."
I was like, but I want to learn hardware. And I got what I wanted. I don't regret it. The things I learned were so cool. My final piece of advice though for you is if you want to take this course, definitely go to office hours, especially if you're like me and you don't know anything about hardware and have never used Arduino in your life before. I was going to office hours twice a week for this. No shame. It was so rewarding. And if you feel like you're in the middle of the semester and you still don't get it, same. A lot of Cornell classes, especially in the engineering department for me, have been like that. We are down to our last class, communication and technology, and I don't really have much to say about this because it was required for everyone in the information science major. The class examined several approaches to understanding technology and its role in human behavior and society. Topics include psychological aspects of computer-mediated communication, how design plays a role in the way we interface with technology and collaborate with each other, and the ways in which communication technology is situated inside social and institutional structures and cultural formations. We met twice a week. Workload was very light, but also very frequent because there were a lot of readings and there were a lot of responses that you had to do after every reading. The tests were 3 essays and 3 prelims. Each of those essays and prelims corresponded with 3 of the topics we looked at, which is 1, design, 2, psychology, and 3, sociology. Overall, this class felt like just going in and listening to a podcast. The last thing is team projects. This wasn't a typical class. If you've been with me on my Cornell journey, you'll know that I was part of an extracurricular called a project team at Cornell. Project teams are a very specific experience offered by the engineering school at Cornell where you can join a team, let's say a software development team, which is the one I was part of, or ones where you build autonomous vehicles, you build race cars, a lot of cool things. They're technically more of an extracurricular and club, but because they are a special program in the Cornell engineering department and they recognize the rigor, they actually give credit. In the past, I was a product designer and a product manager for some of the web apps we built, but this year I was just an advisor because I was planning to step down. I wanted to be able to train and mentor the incoming product managers who would take my role. So some of the things I did was onboarded them, walked them through the documentation that I had prepared. I also connected them to our clients and our supervisor that we worked with, mentored them for the first few months, sat in on meetings, gave them resources, answered any questions they had, and overall was just an advisor on an ad hoc basis. And that summarizes the college classes I took for my senior fall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, there is one more coming next week. It is my final semester at Cornell. Can you believe it? Until then, make sure to check out all my other 6 courses I took for a better idea of the course offerings at Cornell, of what you can learn in college, and hopefully it will help you as you enroll in courses very soon for the coming semester. All of that will be linked in the description box below, and while you're there, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's video. And amidst these prelim midterm seasons, please take care of yourself and surround yourself with a good community. I know these times can be really intense and really stressful, but I just want to remind you that there's so much more to life than academics. Take care, and I will see you next week. Bye!